Welcome to the Waaagh Journal, Anniversary Edition, Orktober Edition. We are going to talk about my matchups at the GT and my results. So I did a lot of figuring out what units I needed to work with, what units I needed to do what with exactly, and I was right about Paludas. I was right about them. They pose a genuine threat, and people do not tend to like that -2 damage, strength 8, especially with the amount of shots. What I'm deciding to do now is I'm going to take another unit. The 15 man is instead going to have a Big Mech with custom force field, and I'll keep them on the ground as like a screening unit. And the one with the shock attack gun is going to decrease to 10 for better placement on the top ruin, and I'm going to keep them generally together, and I'm just going to clap everything. That's what I'm going to do. So let's get into the matchups that I did and what exactly I learned. First match was against Imperial Guard. Now, that was relatively close. I ended up losing that one, but only by about 5 points. When I started the GT, I guess I was kind of in my head. I was forgetting my own rules, and I just kind of like it's my own fault. It is what it is. I'm not going to take any put the blame on anyone else. I played the game. I lost the game, but it was I had a great opponent. It was a great time against Imperial Guard, which was not a traditional Imperial Guard list. There wasn't as many tanks as you would think. What he did do was he kept regenerating a lot of his units. I'd like wipe out a unit, and then he'd spend 2 CP and bring them back. He did that like at least 3 times, I think. The next matchup I had was against Death Guard. I ended up dropping that one also. Incomplete game, didn't finish it. We got as far as we could go. He had some tricks there that kind of disrupted me. Like his cultists, surprisingly, were made you -1 to hit. If he was even in range, anything that was close to his cultists, it would minus my attack capabilities. And he didn't have essentially so much on the board that I couldn't take over, but he had flamers as well, which were pretty strong AP. I got caught. Third matchup was against Grey Knights, and I ended up tying that one. I tied. I pretty much had the Grey Knights on the back foot the entire time. I understand how Grey Knights play, that they kind of zip around, so forth and so on. They don't necessarily have the capabilities to pop all of my stuff that well. I can do okay, but not great. And it's funny enough, this is still the first day of the GT. Again, like I was jumbling up my rules, forgetting certain things. And if you can believe it, I was like, why am I getting beat up this way? And I completely forgot to call my Waaagh until the fourth turn. Who does that? I completely forgot to call the Waaagh. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't call Waaagh. And so the next turn, which was the fourth turn, I called it. And I was able to put in work. At the end of the day, I ended up tying that one. And that was the first day of my GT. 2 losses and a tie. And it wasn't bad, but I knew I had to do better. Initially, my goal, as I said in the last Waaagh Journal, was I wanted to go 50%. That was out of 6 games, I wanted to win 3 of them. So it wasn't looking great. Next day, first matchup was against Tau. And now I've been hearing about Tau. I heard they're kind of dangerous, especially around the third turn. But the guy had units that could pop his abilities the first and second turn. I was getting shot up pretty good. However, it wasn't so much. I was close. His guns are a relatively close range, so he had to be close. And if you're close, I'm going to tag you. try to keep you, or, you know what I mean. The tower doesn't fight well, so if I keep you on the back foot, I can do some kind of work. I ended up charging, like the second turn, I charged everything. I got all of his broadsides. I got all of his other units, big guns, everything that he had to shoot the battle crisis suits and stuff like that. I charged everything with everything that I had, and I was able to put in a decent amount of work with that. At the end of that game, I ended up with another tie. Now, if you play, you know how hard it is to tie, much less two ties in a row. At that point, my record is two losses and two ties. In my head, I said, okay, this is what I have to do. Because in 6 games, I have to go 2-2-2. I have to. I have to finish with 2 wins. So, next game was against Blood Angels. Now, this is a particularly interesting matchup because Blood Angels want to punch me. They want to get in my face and hit me. What I've learned in this edition is orcs aren't, they are punchy, but they're not that punchy. We can put in you can put in some pain, but that's not really where we shine. We don't really have good AP like that. We don't have we don't have great shooting. We can punch and hurt you, but you're going to save it. Do work with the numbers is what goes down. He was trying to get in. The biggest threat he had to me was these big old tanks that he was shooting from the back in like 72-inch range and like a crap load of damage. That was something I had to deal with. So my initial idea was I got to touch these tanks. I got to get these tanks out of here because his troops aren't that terrifying to me. They're not. They're not. They don't scare me that much. The tanks is what's going to hurt me. I got to get rid of them because there's a lot. It's possible they have blast. You can start taking out my units, pop my trucks, scatter my troops around. I was able to do what I intended, and I left that one with a win. So now I'm 2-2-1. I needed one more. Final match of the GT was against Dark Eldar. Now, I haven't really stressed this, but in my entire 40K career, I have never beaten the Dark Eldar. So this was a problem. I was like, all right, what are we going to do here? But I knew I needed this win. And at the end of the day, it's like, look, I'm just going to have fun. I don't care if I want to win, but I don't care. As long as I've had fun this entire time, I'm going to keep doing it. So what happened was I was going against crazy Raider spam. He had a bunch of Raiders. Look, the troops are weedy as hell. Well, like to T3, like one wound, I'm popping you guys easily. Most of my weapons wounding you on twos. You know what I mean? Like Grots are putting in work against you. It's nothing. It's light work. So we're doing that. But the Raiders are a problem. I'll tell you what. Even like I underestimated the Raiders. One Raider with all the damage took out Mazrog in one shot. Not one shot particularly, but like one shooting phase wiped me. And Mazrog Scragbed is incredibly hard to pop with T10 rather, 9 wounds, and Artist Nails, whatever else. Four up, invulnerable save, 4 up, feel no pain. It just took one Raider to pop Mazrog. And I was like, all right, all of these have to go. And I did. I leaned into killing the Raiders because the troops are light work, man. I didn't really care about them. And I ended up charging everything. I was able to charge most stuff. It ended up really in a good spot. What I will say at the end of the day is that my MVP units were Ludus, if you can believe it. Ludus and a shock attack gun mech. So, like I said, to the point that I'm bringing me a whole nother unit. However, I'm going to shorten the shock attack gun mech unit to 10, and I'm going to use I'm going to bring another unit of 15. That's going to be the custom force field mech. He's going to sit in the front. He's going to screen, and you have to get through them before you get to the -2 guys. And also, when I have a unit of 10, I can put them in a truck and drive them where I need to go, as opposed to them running across the board to get to this ruin. Because a lot of times with this deployment, the big ruins are more toward the middle or out of my deployment zone, so I cannot deploy in the top ruin like I want to. But I can get them there with a truck. So that's my plan to do. Also, I've decided that with the weird boy who's attached to the shooter boys, it would be wise to hold the line on the top ruin because I can just teleport them there, as opposed to having them in the truck and run around and get objectives. They can do that, but they have extra movement with the weird boy. I can keep them. I can zip them onto the top ruin and hold the position for the looters. What I can do from there is they can get the plunging fire rule. So now all the shooters, which is a lot of them, would be hitting on -1 AP, which is better than the 0 AP that they naturally get. Now we take that into account. They hold the line, and then the other looters come and get to where they need to be. Finally, because it does take some time. In a few games, I took me maybe 1 to 2 turns of movement to get the looters where I needed them to be. Luckily, I had a good series of other units, and they were able to do what I needed them to do without me having to worry about the looters per se. The looters' mission was to fire knockout units. They're unexpectedly dangerous. Once people realized how bad they were, they tried to take them out as quickly as possible. They never got charged. Looters never got charged. And also, when people would move, pop their 1 CP for Overwatch. And Overwatch, what they can reroll ones. If the enemy was on an objective, they can reroll everything. So hitting on sixes isn't that bad as an orc because we hit on fives. It's just, what is that? This is 1 pip extra. Who cares? Especially with the amount of shots that you would get plus rerolls. That's very, very big. Very big deal. Very big deal. Always keep taking rockets in the looters. May be beneficial to take big shooters with the looters if we're having them on the top ruin because of the plunging fire. It's only -1, but it's better than nothing. I like custom Mega Blasters, but I don't like to take them because of the potential hazardous roll and end up killing a guy for no reason. I mean, it's very orky, but I don't like it. I don't like that idea. Squig Hog boys, I feel that I'm going to break them down into smaller units. I don't need to bring the second knob on Smash the Squig. He's all right. But I found that if I drop him, not in the list coming up, in the list coming up, I think I'll keep him for now. However, I'm going to break down the 1 6-man into another 3-man. So now I have 3 units running around. I additionally want to bring another unit of Storm Boys because they did work, which I loved. They did put in work, and I did do objectives every now and again, but they actually assisted me in charges. Charging with the one knob and the power claw, and then they all have choppers. I could really disrupt certain things, and they made their charges every time. I don't think I missed a charge with the Storm Boys. Death Killer Wartrike with the 3-man unit of bikes, awesome. Maybe in the future I might make it 6. I don't know. It depends on points and what happens. But Death Killer Wartrike, money. Especially, I use always put him in reserve, and then I would rapid ingress him. I did that with the Blood Angels, and that completely changed his game plan. When I did the rapid ingress, then he diverted all of his shots, and he just aimed completely at that squad because it looked scary. It took a lot of fire off of everything else. These are just different things that I'm going to do. There's not much else I really want to change yet, although I do want to experiment with a completely shooty list because you know, we're doing bad moons right now. So it's all guns, baby, all DACA. So I want to go crazy with that. Shooter boys, I'm gonna make them viable. They're gonna work, and an extra unit of looters. My God, man, they really put in work. Think they're going to think they're going to be a problem. People are not going to expect the kind of damage that they get from it. You know, everybody's into flash kits now, and I love flash kits. I was using flash kits last edition, but I don't like to copy and paste per se. I like looters, and they can get a lot of shots, man. I know flash kits get full rerolls with Captain Badrock, but you can potentially get full rerolls too with a Big Mech. So I mean, these are just a couple of points, a couple of things I figured out. And I got not a GT, an RTT coming up on the 28th of this month, which is in probably about a week or so. We're going to finish Orktober with an excellent, excellent win. We're going to do it again. 2-2-2 with the GT. I'm not disappointed in that because it's funny because I said I wanted to go 50%, which is 3-3 at least. And when you tie, it counts as a half a win. So two ties, I ended up going 3-3. Ah, Waaagh Journal, signing out until next time.